Don't forget to like and subscribe to Juliette's Crochet. Share with your friends. Hit that little notification bell so you can get notified when new patterns release. All our videos are available in left and right-handed tutorials. Hi everyone, welcome back to Juliette's Crochet. I'm Crystal. Today we're going to be making the Juliette hooded shawl. Now this shawl does have pockets and it is worked up a little bit differently than most shawls, and we are going to also be adding a hood and some pockets like this. So it kind of looks like maybe a wrap or a poncho. Definitely looks like a shawl, but it has a little bit of a different shape to it. So in the front, it's actually going to come down like straight across almost. It'll have a little bit of a slant because your arms will go down, but it's going to have a straight bottom, kind of like a cardigan, only you won't have sleeves. So it's just going to go over you. And I'll go ahead and roll some pictures through the screen so that way you guys can see the different colors that you can make it in. This pattern will have a written pattern on Ravelry for a small fee, so if you don't understand what is happening inside of the video tutorial, then go ahead and head over to Ravelry and I will leave the link in the description box below. Also, don't forget to join the Juliette's Crochet community on Facebook so you can show us what you've created, get more ideas, and check out the rest of my patterns. If you're not already subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. Hit that little notifications bell so you can get notified when new patterns release. What I'm going to make today to show you this is a very small, like it's going to be doll size. So it's really simple. It's made of double crochets and sideways puff stitches. Now when we put the border on, the border is going to be this simple border, and you can decide if you want to put fringe on it or not. Otherwise, I did not put fringe on mine, so it's just a very simple border, but it's made in a way that you can add fringe if you would like. So I am going to go ahead and head inside, grab my yarn, and show you what I'm using today. Okay, so how we are going to do this first is the first thing we're going to do is make a chain. Now our chain is going to be straight, but this is once we get through the first couple of rows. So you've got your chain, we're going to have our two first rows, and then here is where we're going to start our increasing. Okay, these are all going to be straight. This is going to be a straight edge, and this is where our increase will be, going all the way to the size that we're looking for. So this is going to be the shape of what our shawl is going to be like. We'll add our pockets to both sides, and when we do our hood, we're going to start with one chain, and then we're going to work our way around the chain. This is where we'll have an increase, and then work back and we'll have an increase here. So each row is going to increase like this. This is just going to be a small increase, and then it's going to work like this. So our increases in the hood are going to be at the front part, and then right here is where we're going to attach here. So then your hood will fall like this behind. Okay? So I will go ahead and grab the yarn and I'll show you what I'm using. Okay, so the yarn that I'm using for this project is the I Love This yarn in Stonewash, and this one is in the color Mint Lace. I did get this at Hobby Lobby on clearance. They do have a lot more colors of this, just this color was the clearance color. These come in skeins of 252 yards. They are 100% acrylic. I used 7 skeins of this. You're going to need about 1,700 yards or more if you want to make yours larger than what I'm making mine. This is a medium 4-weight worsted yarn. And we are also going to be using a 5.5 millimeter hook. Now I am 5'7", and this piece goes to approximately like top to mid part of my thigh. So the starting chain that I'm going to be showing you is going to be 31 inches from the back of your neck to where it droops down. So if you are a lot shorter or you are a lot taller, you can plus or minus this beginning stitch count by 4. So by 4 plus or minus in multiples of 4. So the first thing that we're going to do is to chain 101. That's going to be the first side of one front panel. Now, like I said, I'm going to do mine a lot smaller. So I'm just going to chain 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. Now, if you did your 101 chains, you are then going to stop, place a stitch marker into the last chain that you created, and now you are going to chain 101 more. So I'm doing 11. Okay, so this is what my piece looks like. I should have 101, place your stitch marker and your 101st chain, and then chain 101 more, okay? Now, getting started on the body of this project. Row 1, what we're doing is we're doing what I call a stacked single crochet to create a double crochet. So what's going to happen is into the second chain from the hook, we're going to create a single crochet. And now what we're going to do is we're going to single crochet again, but right inside of this inside loop. So you have these two loops, these two front loops on your single crochet. We're going to do it on the inside loop. So that's the one that we're going to go into. So we go into there and we create another single crochet. And this is our double crochet, and it's going to help to give us a straight edge. Okay? And now we're going to double crochet all the way in every chain to the end. So there's one. And now we're just going to double crochet all the way to the end. Now, if you can hear my daughter laughing and having fun in the background, we are on homeschool. It's a holiday today, and she is on FaceTime with her friends. So I did try to get them to stay quiet. But if you hear them, I'm sorry about the background noise. It's kids having fun, and just do your best to not hear it. So I'm going to finish this out, and I will meet you back at the end of the row to get started on the next row. You're going to leave your stitch marker there. We're not moving our stitch marker. We can actually move our stitch marker up. So if you want to go ahead and make that double crochet and then move your stitch marker up one stitch, we're not doing increases yet, but that is showing us where exactly the middle of our shawl is. Okay, so here is the end of your first row. Mine is small, but you should have 201 double crochets or plus or minus 201 by 4 stitches, okay? So now for row 2, we're just going to turn our work, and without chaining 1, we're going to do another stacked single crochet to create a double crochet. And there's your first stitch. Now we're just going to double crochet again all the way to the end of the row. So your first 2 rows are just 2 nice regular old double crochet rows. And when you get to your stitch marker, you can move your stitch up again, or you can move your stitch marker up again, excuse me. Okay, so now that you have your 2 rows of double crochet completed, we're going to get started on row 3. And we're going to start every row the same. Every row is going to be a stacked single crochet to create a double crochet. So one single crochet, and then one single crochet right on top of that, and there's your double crochet. Now we're going to double crochet into the next stitch. And here's your repeat. What we're going to do is chain one, skip one stitch, double crochet into the next. And that's it. Chain one, skip one stitch, double crochet into the next. So we're going to repeat that all the way up until we get to our stitch marker. And here's our stitch marker. Okay, so what we're going to do after our last double crochet before our stitch marker, here is how we're going to work our beginning increase. So we're going to chain one, double crochet into our stitch marker, or into our marked stitch, not actually our stitch marker. And now we're going to chain two, double crochet right into that same stitch, chain one, and we'll double crochet now into the next stitch. So your work should look like this, and this chain two is now where your increase corner is. Okay, so you can put your stitch marker back there. And now we're going to finish the row out with our repeat. So chaining one, skipping one, double crochet. Chain one, skipping one, double crochet. And if I'm going too fast for you, I apologize. This is not a beginner's channel. I don't teach how to work your stitches, but if you need to slow it down, there is the settings on the video and you can slow it down. Now when you get to the end, you should have one stitch left, and we will go ahead and place a double crochet into that stitch. So the beginning of your row should have two double crochets, and the end of your row should have two double crochets. Now we're going to move on to row 4. So you're going to turn your work, stacked single crochet, and now we are going to skip our next stitch, and into our chain space we're going to do a side puff. So how we're going to do that is we're going to create a double crochet, yarn over, and we're actually going to make a puff over that post. Grab your yarn, pull it up, that's once, yarn over, grab your yarn, pull it up, that's twice. We're doing it 4 times. And now you'll yarn over and pull through all of your loops. And now we'll do another side puff into the next chain 1 space. We'll do this for every chain space all the way up to the corner. 3, 4, yarn over, pull through all, double crochet into the next, and side puff. And this is our last chain 1 space of this side. And now we're at our chain 2 corner. So into our corner, we're going to do a side puff, which is your double crochet and your puff over your post. Chain 2, and then a side puff into the same chain 2 space. And we can move our stitch marker up to our new chain 2 corner. And now we're going to continue our side puffs going down to our last chain space. Okay, when we finished our last side puff, what we're going to do is just go ahead and place a double crochet right into the last stitch. Getting started on row 5, you're going to turn your work and you're going to do a stacked single crochet to make a double crochet. Now we're going to double crochet into the next stitch, which is the top of your puff. And now here's where you're going to really want to be paying attention, okay? So for this row, now we chain 1 and we're double crocheting into the next stitch, but we're not skipping one. So technically what we're doing now is our double crochets are going to fall in between what looks like is between our side puffs. So right here. And now we will chain 1, skip 1 stitch, double crochet into the next. So all of our double crochets should look like they are in this large space. So we're going to do that all the way to the top. Now your last double crochet of this side should fall right above this last puff. So now we're at our corner space. So what we're going to do in our corner space is to chain 1, double crochet into that chain 2 space here, chain 2, double crochet into that same space. And now we'll move our stitch marker. Now in order to keep this looking the same as this side here, our first stitch, this is technically a chain. I know it doesn't look like it, but this is technically a chain, that first chain that we did on this side, and that's where we're going to place our first double crochet. So we'll chain 1, place our first double crochet right there, chain 1, skip 1 stitch, double crochet. Chain 1, skip 1, double crochet, all the way to the end. And now when we get to the end of the row, we have 3 stitches left technically. So we're still going to do that chain 1 and double crochet here into the second to last stitch. And then we're going to finish off just with a double crochet into the last stitch. So the end of your row 5 should look like this. Okay, your whole piece will now start to build an increase down the middle where the side of your pieces are going to be straight. I mean, they're going to look like they have a curve because we're increasing here, but we're not increasing or decreasing on the sides. Those are just going to be straight edges. Okay, so getting started on row 6, you are going to turn your work, and again we are doing a stacked single crochet to create a double crochet. And here we're just going to double crochet into every stitch and every chain space all the way up to our corner. Okay, so now that we are at our corner chain 2 space, we're going to place 2 double crochets, chain 2, and 2 more double crochets, and we'll move our stitch marker up to the chain 2 space. And we'll continue down the other side, placing 1 double crochet into every stitch. And of course, we're counting our chain as a stitch because it is. And there we go. That is the end of our row 6. Now rows 7 and 8 are going to be a repeat of row 6. So we're going to have, let's see. So what we're going to do is we're going to have 3 double crochet rows in between our fillet row, our puff row, our fillet row, and then 3 double crochet rows. So hopefully that makes some sense to you. So you're going to turn your work. Start with your stacked single crochet. And then double crochet into every stitch all the way up to your stitch marker where your chain 2 corner is. Don't forget to do 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 double crochets into that corner stitch, and then finish out your row. So you have 3 double crochet rows. I will meet you back after I finish out my 3rd double crochet row, and that will be row 9. So I'll work with you on row 9, and your repeat rows will be rows 4 through 9. All right, so let me finish that out and I'll meet you back in just a sec. Okay, so here's what the end of your row 8 is going to look like. If you started with the correct amount of chains, you should have 112 double crochets on each side. Now getting started on row 9, this is the last row of our repeat. It's pretty simple, it's just a fillet row, which is going to be like this row, but we just worked on top of a regular straight row. So now I'm going to show you how to work on top of the row that has the increase. So stacked single crochet to create a double crochet to start, double crochet into the next stitch, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet, all the way up to your chain 2 corner. Your last double crochet should fall into the last stitch of your side. Okay, now into our corner, we're just going to do a chain 1, double crochet, chain 2, double crochet, oops, chain 1, move your stitch marker up, and now we're going to start with our double crochet right into that first stitch. And now we're going to finish out our repeat, double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet, all the way until you have 1 stitch left of the side. There we are, have my 1 stitch left, and we're just placing a double crochet right into that last stitch. Okay, so this is how you are making the body of your shawl. You are going to be repeating now rows 4 through 9, which is your puff row is row 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Repeat that. I repeated mine. I have 6 puff rows. So this would be my first one, this would be my second one. I went all the way through 6 puff rows for my desired length. You can make yours shorter or longer if you like. This is the part that's going to be behind your neck, and this is the part that's going to go down in your back, just like a shawl would. Only these will come down your shoulder to the front, okay? So you're gonna do that the entire time, but you're going to end on a row 7. So you will have 2 double crochet rows before you start your border, all right? So I'm actually gonna take out these 2 rows and then I'll meet you back and show you how to do the border after your 2 double crochet rows. All right, so once you get to the desired length that you're working on, you should have your 2 double crochet rows at the end. That's what we're ending with. And our border is a really super simple border. We are just going to chain 1 and we're gonna single crochet into that first stitch. Now we're gonna chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're gonna skip 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, single crochet into the next. And that's what we're repeating. Chain 4, skip 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, single crochet into the next. 1, 2, 3, 4, skip 3, single crochet. Okay, now when we get to our corner, so we're chaining 4, our single crochet is now going to fall into the corner, chain 4, single crochet again into that corner. So it should look like this. And now we're going to continue repeating. Chain 4, skip 3 stitches, single crochet into the next. Chain 4, skip 3 stitches, single crochet into the next. All the way to the end. And there we go. That's your border. Now, if you want, you can turn the corner and do it down this way. I blocked mine, so my edges were straight, even though they're a raw edge. We worked all those stacked single crochets to make it a nice straight edge. Also, I was considering if you're using a self-striping yarn, that this little thin border here might look kind of funny with just one line of color going. But you can add that around your raw edges if you like. Okay, so the next thing I am going to show you is how to make the hood. Okay, now in order to make the hood, we're gonna start a new piece. Okay, so in order to make our hood, you're gonna chain 45. I'm just gonna chain 5 because I'm just showing you the idea of this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? Now, we are going to make a stacked single crochet into the second chain from the hook. 1, 2, and now you're going to double crochet into each stitch. Your chain, of course, counts as a stitch. 1, 2, 3. Now, This third one right here that we just created is the last chain of our row. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to go around the entire chain. So this last stitch, we're going to place 5 double crochets into it. We have already got the 1, so now I'm going to do 4 more. And now we're going to work back down the other side of the chain. 1 double crochet into each stitch, each chain. And that's what the beginning of our hood should look like. I mean, obviously yours is going to be a lot longer, but it's just double crochets up one side of the chain, 5 double crochets into the last one, double crochet down the other side of the chain. Okay, now here's your row 2. Row 2 is going to be your repeat row. You are going to have a total of 16 rows before we get started on our border. So this is 1, then we're going to do 2, and then rows 3 all the way through row 16 is going to be a repeat of row 2. So we are going to turn our work and we're going to stack single crochet. And here's where we're increasing. We're double crocheting into the same stitch. That's it. That's our increase. We're adding 1 stitch extra to the beginning and 1 stitch extra to the end. So now you're going to double crochet in every stitch all the way to the other side. One into each of those 5 double crochets that we had to turn the corner. And then into our last stitch, we're increasing. So we're putting 2 double crochets. And that's it. That's going to be like it. You're going to have your 16 rows of double crochets, rows 2 through 16 are going to have 1 extra stitch at the front and 1 extra stitch at the end, and eventually, I mean, this is small, so I hope you can tell. Oh, well, let me show you on the big one. Your increases are going to be going down the front of one side and down the front of the other side. Okay, so let me show you really quickly how to get started on the border. So we have rows 17, 18, 19, 20, and 21. So this would be row 17, 18, 19, 20, and then we just finish that off with a row of single crochets. Okay, so here's how we're going to do our row 17. Turn your work, of course, single crochet stacked to make a double crochet. Now we'll double crochet into the same stitch again. And now we are just going to chain 1, skip 1, double crochet into the next. Chain 1, skip 1, double crochet into the next, all the way to the end. Now when you get to the end of your row, your last double crochet should fall into your last stitch, and then we're going to add another double crochet there. So the first stitch will have 2 double crochets, and your last stitch will have 2 double crochets. Now to get row 18 down, we are going to start with a stacked single crochet. We will then double crochet into the same stitch, and we'll side puff again into each chain space. So that is double crochet into your chain space and then work a puff over your post. 2, 3, 4. Next chain space, double crochet, puff over your post. 1, 2, 3, 4. All the way to the end. So that should be pretty simple because it's really, other than the beginning being double crochet in the first stitch, double crochet in the next, we're actually double crocheting 2 into that first stitch. So go ahead and finish out your side puffs. I'll meet you back at the end of the row. So now that we are at the end of our row, we're going to place 2 double crochets right into that last stitch. And that's how that row should look. Getting started on row 19. Stacked single crochet to create a double crochet. There we go. Double crochet into the same stitch. Now we are going to chain 1 and we're going to double crochet into the next. We're not skipping 1. We're going to chain 1, double crochet into this big wide opening here. Now your repeat is to chain 1, skip 1, double crochet into the next. Chain 1, skip 1, double crochet into the next. All the way down your row. When you get to the end, we're placing 2 double crochets again into that last stitch. So at the end we have our last double crochet will fall into the last stitch. And then we're placing another double crochet into there. And that is the end of your row 19. Row 20 is you're turning your work, stacking your single crochets to create a double crochet. This hook is hard to get it into that little front loop. Okay, there we go. Now double crochet again into the same stitch. We're double crocheting in this row into every stitch. So every double crochet, every chain space, every double crochet, every chain space, all the way to the end. We will end our last row with 2 double crochets in the last stitch. Okay, here's my last stitch. I'm making sure I have 2 double crochets into there. And now what's going to happen for our last row of the hood, you are going to chain 1, turn your work, and all we're doing is placing 1 single crochet into every stitch going all the way back. There's not an increase on this row, we're just doing 1 single crochet. Okay, and that's it. That's the hood that we have. Obviously yours is going to be a lot bigger than mine, right? So how we are going to be attaching this is taking our shawl And our center part where we started our chain is going to line up into the center part here. Now you can either whip stitch your pieces together, or you can single crochet it. So what I did is I just single crocheted mine all the way down, fastened off, and then added my pockets. Okay, so the next thing you're gonna do are the pockets, and I'm not gonna do a tutorial to show you how to make the pockets. I think it's pretty simple. You should be able to do the pockets yourself. The only thing you are going to do is to chain 22, and then you'll do your stacked single crochet to make a double crochet, and you'll have 21 double crochets across for 9 rows. And then you'll do a fillet row, a side puff row, and another fillet row. From here is where I stopped, and I went and I single crochet and attached along the side, along the bottom, along the other side, and then I just went through and single crocheted along the top of my pocket. And then that's it. So you can make your pocket larger or smaller if you like. I like it this size. It's a good size for a phone or keys or anything like that. Where I placed it, I'll put a picture so it's a little bit easier to see where I placed my pocket, but I just placed it 2 puff rows in, and that's where I attached it. You can attach it wherever you like, however high you like, whatever's convenient for you. I went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stitches up from the bottom. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for watching Juliette's Crochet. Thank you for joining me to make the Juliette hooded pocket shawl. Go ahead and follow me on Instagram under Juliette's Crochet. You can also find me on Facebook under Juliette's Crochet, and join the Juliette's Crochet community group on Facebook and show us what you've created. We'll see you next time.